Hey everybody, Matumbo here. We are back playing some more Magic on Standard Arena, and today we are, of course, exploring another companion, and of course it is another powerful companion in the form of Yorion, which we have explored a few times. So with that being said, before we hop into the deck, would like to remind everybody just real quickly this time, if you do enjoy the videos, if you like the content, please like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that bell icon to be notified when the videos go live. That way you can be the first one to leave awesome and very creative comments. So, all right, let's hop in immediately into this Yorion Elementals deck. So what this deck is it's basically your typical Teamer Elemental shell, but we are playing Yorion since he is blue, and we are just trying to power out mana as quickly as possible in order to do powerful things. I mean, this is really typical of what you're trying to do with a lot of different decks in Standard right now. But this time we're just trying to do unfair things like we did back in the day when Risen Reef was first introduced. So let's take a look at each of the cards. Of course, Yorion is going to force us to actually play an 80 card deck. And well, with that, we're playing actually half of our deck is land. We're playing the 39 land deck. So as you can see, we do have quite a few lands here. The reason for that is we are wanting to make sure we are hitting our land drops every turn. We want to get to 7 mana as quickly as possible because our payoffs do top out at 7, and they are very powerful. So we do want to make sure we are casting them. So in the form of ramp, we have Arboreal Grazer, obviously, turn 1, being able to drop an extra land. Typically that land, you want it to be something like a scry land or another shock land. That way you're either benefiting from the scry early on turn 1, or you're not taking damage from that shock. So we also have Leafkin Druids. Of course, this is a 2 mana 0/3 mana dork. It's going to make either 1 or 2 mana based on how many creatures you have in play. And also, it is an elemental, so it will trigger our friend Risen Reef when we get to him later. Growth Spiral, obviously just 2 mana, draw a card, put an extra land into play. Always really, really good in the Teamer, any kind of Teamer shell, any kind of Simic shell, Sultai shell. This is pretty much a staple. This is probably one of the most played cards in Standard right now. We have Uro. Uro is super powerful again. It comes into play, you draw a card, you can play an extra land, gain 3 life, and then you can escape to actually have him come into play permanently. Risen Reef, this is basically the engine of the deck. Risen Reef, when any elemental comes into play, you're going to look at the top card of your library. You're going to, if it's a land, you have the option of putting it directly into play, and if it's not a land, it just goes into your hand. You're not drawing this card, so it gets around cards like Narset, which will prevent additional card draws. This card, again, is really super powerful. We have one Thassa. This is, of course, just for a blinking effect. Most of our creatures have some kind of enter the battlefield trigger, or they're triggered by Risen Reef. So we want to be able to have some kind of interaction on the end of every one of our turns. It's not super important to our deck because we're hoping to just really just get there before our opponent really can do anything. So this is just a one of. It's just really nice to hit, whether or not it be off of a Genesis Ultimatum or just drawing it randomly when we're kind of like stalling out ourselves. So Scampering Scorcher, of course, elemental. This is going to make 2 additional 1/1s. It's going to give all of our elementals haste. So if we have a bunch of mana in play and we hit a bunch of elementals, this being one of them, off of a Genesis Ultimatum, we're going to be able to deal a lot of damage really quickly. Plus, we get all of the benefits from the Risen Reef. Omnath, this card is a beast of one of the most overpowered elementals. Of course, the drawback to it is he is 3 different colors of mana. He is Teamer. So, but when he enters the battlefield, we get to deal damage to anything we want to for the number of elementals we have in play. Then anytime a land comes into play, we get to put a +1/+1 counter on him. And if we have 8 or more lands, we get to draw a card every time we play a land. So this guy is just going to fuel us, fuel us, fuel us. Another ramp spell, should have it over in this pile. Search for 2 basic lands. We also get to cycle if we don't need to do that. So again, we're wanting to make sure that that we're hitting our seventh mana as quickly as possible. And that leads us to our payoff. So at 5 mana, we have Cavalier of Thorns. This is going to, of course, help us get to 7 mana. We get to, he's an elemental. When he comes into play, we look at the top 5 cards, put a land into play, the rest into the graveyard. And when he dies, we get to put a card from our graveyard on top of our library. So if we use him and we mill one of our payoffs like Agent of Treachery or Genesis Ultimatum and they kill him, we get to put that card back on top. So it's really a win-win. We're basically ramping and we're almost tutoring at the same time. Agent of Treachery, I can't really speak more about this card. This is probably the most powerful card in Standard right now, being able to gain control of anything in play that you want. And you get to draw 3 cards if you have 3 of their permanents. So, and there's so many decks that utilize this card and are able to put it into play unfairly. And I mean, it is what it is. It's Agent of Treachery. And then finally, Genesis Ultimatum. Again, look at the top 5 cards of your library, put any of the permanents into play, and anything that's not a permanent into our hand. So most of our cards are permanents. So really the only thing that we're not going to be putting into play is going to be Growth Spiral and Migration Path. So we're pretty much going to be paying 7 mana, putting 5 things into play, and just doing crazy things. And on top of that, Yorion again, everything has pretty much enter the battlefield triggers. We're going to drop a Yorion when we have a ton of stuff in play, get all of the triggers again, and then just really force our opponent to concede, because I know I wouldn't want to play Magic if that happened to me. So all right, well, I do want to remind you guys to watch the whole video. We will get to the wrap up, and then we will cover what we liked about the deck and what we did not like about the deck, and any potential changes that we would make. So we will see you right after the gameplay. All right, looking to play some of this Yorion Elementals. And we will be playing against Marketo 88. All right, so we're playing against a Yorion deck. This is a pretty slow-ish start, but it does have potential in the fact that we can Growth Spiral, hopefully hit land into a Migration Path, into an Agent of Treachery, and then just kind of outrace him. So Murica. Oh man, look at them sleeves. This actually slows us down. All right, so next turn we are going to Island into Growth Spiral into Temple. And he is going to play his enchantment. Oh, this is a cycling Godzilla deck. Okay. Jeskai Yadaro control of some form or fashion. All right, let's Growth Spiral here. Get another Temple, so. So we do want land, but we don't want a Temple. That'll work. So, whoops. I have a feeling we're going to be met with like a Neutralize or maybe an Ionize here. All right, so we want another, we don't need another red, so we'll take green blue. So he's probably going to be on Luca next turn, so we have to take one of his lands, and we're going to have to take his Sacred Foundry. Guess it doesn't matter.
I prefer a peaceful resolution, but I'll fight if I must. Enlightenment begins.
That's really unfortunate. So I think we instead take his Narset. We're going to use Narset. And so he can land Luca, sack his token to go get a Aiden. Okay, but he's not going to. He's just going to scoop it up. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Because we had a good play. We had a Yorion to bounce our Aiden or Treachery, so. Alright. Alright, on to game number 2. So that means that we are here to remind you, stay hydrated. Especially while you're playing Vichy 92. Obosh, we are playing against a aggro type deck. This seems to be the perfect hand against an aggro type deck. Especially one that's not necessarily red. And it is red, but it's not necessarily red. How many of you have accidentally clicked pay 2 life when putting in a land with Arboreal Grazer? I've done it exactly one time. Witch's Oven. That's no fun, because that is going to kill our Risen Reef. But we're going to make him do it. No attacks. And he might have thought about doing it then. Doing it then allows him to have his Witch's Oven untapped here, but okay, now he gets to deal 2 damage. He gets to deal an additional 1 damage to so he could attack. We would block with the Grazer and he'd be able to kill both. Or we could just take 2. So if we take 2, he still technically feels like he probably has to sack it. We're just going to take it. I don't want him to 2-for-1 us here. I'd rather him do it here. And he has to do it now. Yep. And again, we did that to preserve a blocker. We will go ahead and Growth Spiral. We don't need another Grazer in play. Okay. Witch's Ovens don't really do anything since he doesn't have any cats in play. Go ahead and go back up to 20. So this is only going to be our 3rd card in our graveyard. Yeah, we'll go ahead and put a land into play. And then you know what? We'll go ahead and put a land into play. So we are 1 blue mana away from being able to play our Genesis Ultimatum, but we can cast our Agent of Treachery. So that is technically blue mana. We're just going to say go. So I kind of want to play the Yorion there, but at the same time, I want to try to get a little bit of value off of it. And since we are not really doing anything right now, I mean, we're just going to slam this. Oh, and we definitely made some hits. We're going to go ahead and take your land there, slow you down, probably get you to concede. We will do a bit of scrying. Don't need any more land. Then we're gonna be able to scry a little bit more here. I feel like he probably has at least one more Judith in his hand. Don't need that. And don't really need that. No attacks. All right, so I feel like we probably need to order this in a correct form or fashion. Let's tap this for 2. Let's play Agent of Treachery. Let's take Judith. So we're taking Judith there to make sure that he can't do any kind of like sacking shenanigans where like he goes and gets more of his guys out of his deck and then kills an Agent of Treachery before we, get to Yorion. So, all right. Awesome. To game 3. So I know we've won the first 2, but so far I feel like this deck is a little underwhelming. We haven't seen it do anything really nutty yet. This has potential. We'll keep. I know this is a bad hand to keep. Probably playing an aggro deck since he doesn't have a companion, so maybe like mono red or mono green, or rule. He's probably playing Teamer. All right, so he could be playing a most likely just Gruul, but he could be playing a potential Winota deck. He could be playing a Niv Mizzet deck. He could be playing a combination of those. So we're not really going to give him anything yet to hit. So yeah, so I just have a feeling we're going to see a Winota. Maybe not this turn, but maybe next turn. Oh no, he's just playing a straight up like ramp out Nissa. Okay. Interesting. Go and do this. So we don't necessarily want that. no blocks. Interesting draw. Not saying it's a good draw, but it's an interesting one. We want blue? Blue, blue, blue. Green. That should stop him from attacking at least one turn. Ooh. What is this guy's deck? This is pretty interesting. Okay, so that's gonna put him on an adventure for next turn. You can untap red mana. Not going to, but he could. Let's play an extra land this turn. I'm going to block. Hold on. Let me see what's in my graveyard. Yeah. I'm gonna block. Okay. Did it. Let's see what we hit. This was quite the hit. Target an elemental we control. Target a creature. 6. Well, he has another Nissa. We'll just go ahead and hit that. Oh my god, so many hits. Wow, so many triggers. We still had 12 triggers to whew. That was impressive. Okay. I take back what I said. Alright, what kind of shenanigans are we going to get into this game against Geramande? Let's find out. We have a pretty decent-ish hand. We can Grazer into Temple on turn 1. No, we don't really want a Temple there. So we're going to shock in for a Risen Reef. Playing as mono red. Oh no, we're playing it cycling. Cycling without Luris. So just want to remember we did put a Temple to the bottom. Okay, hitting land there is really good. I think we have to take that. Because I think we're going to Temple into Risen Reef. So this is a cycling deck with Imposing Vantasaur. Is this deck? So let's go ahead and try to hit a... You know what? I'm actually okay with hitting that. Omnath. We don't want Omnath. We want to hit either a Agent or a Genesis Ultimatum against this deck. And I do apologize if you guys hear the people outside doing the landscaping. That's happening. So we hit exactly what we wanted to hit. I think the only way that this is wrong is if we hit the haste. Oh yeah, we're winning this game. Yep, good game. That was quite a hit against that cycling deck. Nice. Agent Treachery and Thassa. These games are actually going pretty quick. Fender 13076. Opponent goes first. Don't think this is a keeper. Yeah, I just don't like that hand. This is better. We actually put back Fabled Passage. As crazy as that sound. Crazy as that sounds. And there is the Mulligan Bug in full effect. So what are they going to do? Blood Crypt into maybe Godless Shrine? Or are they just sticking with the black-red plan? Or are they on a Mardu plan? You don't typically see black-red by itself without some form of companion. I mean, it could be the Sacrifice deck, but again, if you're playing the Sacrifice deck, you really want to be on Obosh. He's on the Rope plan. Hey guy, it's turn 1. What 1-drop you gonna play? Forgot that it was his turn 2. That's my bad, my bad. Oh, so he's playing a Reanimator deck, okay. That is not going to bode well. Alright, we have to hit some lands here. Have to hit lands. I was right in assuming he was on Mardu, but did not expect him to be on a Reanimator type Mardu. Yeah. We're not attacking. Okay, so he has another reanimation spell. Which is fine. I mean, that's fine as well. We are going to get a... I think we're just going to get an island. And we will get a... 3 temples to choose from. So I don't... Yeah, I don't think we can actually keep... So the reason we're not keeping that, we really need to hit a land. If he reanimates here, especially if it's the haste reanimation spell, which it looks like it's going to be, he can get us really good. Okay, so... Not the worst. So, okay, so he's playing an Offspring's Revenge deck. So he's going to hit our Leafkin Druid. He might want to hit our Cavalier. If he does, we're going to get back a Fabled Passage. Oh. Why didn't you do that? We take 4. Hold on a second. So... yeah, I think we're fine blocking here. He doesn't have another one in his graveyard right now. And that actually leaves us... with this. We're not going to attack this turn. So this is in case he gets another giant dragon in his graveyard. All right, so we get to put a card on top. It's a pretty good play on his behalf. All right, so we're gonna put, okay, so you get a 1/1. That deals just a little bit of damage every turn. All right, well, we're gonna take that. We don't have any red, white, or black creatures. Yet. So we do get to Uro. Uro's pretty good here. Gonna gain us some life. And we not have enough cards. Green, blue, blue, green. Okay, it finally started glowing. Gonna go up to 12. All right, well, good game to you. Good game. All right, everybody, it is time for the wrap up. We went 5-0. We had some pretty quick games. They were a lot of fun. I'm really glad that we actually were able to pull that off. This deck is super powerful. Like I'd mentioned in the first couple of games, I was kind of underwhelmed with the deck. But then, you know, we had a pretty crazy Genesis Ultimatum. We hit pretty good, and I mean, yeah, so it is what it is. We had a game, I think, where we had out 3 Cavalier Thorns as well. So yeah, this deck can do some pretty powerful things. There's not a lot that I would change. I feel like everything in here that's a permanent is pretty important to the deck. What I would change, though, I know we're playing 39 land, and I know it's very important that we actually hit all of our land drops, but I really feel like I'd probably take out like 1 to 2 land. What cards would I consider in this? I think I would consider either 1 to 2 Chandras, and that's going to be either the 3-mana Chandra that puts elementals into play. That's really good with Risen Reef, and again, it's only a 3-drop, and then also the 6-mana Mythic Chandra, the one that gives your opponents the emblem that deals the damage to them every turn for the +2, but then also the -3 ability will also deal 3 damage to all non-elemental creatures. So it actually helps clear the way, you know, for us to swing in with some of our smaller creatures like Risen Reefs and you know, like the Scampering Scorchers and whatnot, and not worrying about have them being killed and anything like that. So I think that's where I would be on this deck. I'd put in at least 1 of the Mythic Chandra for 6 mana. It is another payoff. You know, it is kind of risky. We may not hit it all the time, but I think it's worth it to have 1 more of those in there. So really, that's the only changes that I would make. Again, I would just take out maybe. I think I might actually take out the Castle Vantress and maybe 1 Triome. I think the Castle Vantress is just really not needed. Every time you're wanting to, I feel like every time it was in play, we were either definitely. We were already winning and we didn't really need it. And I feel like if we're having to use Castle Vantress in a aggressive fashion and to dig for a card, we're probably not going to win that game. So I don't think this deck actually needs that. All right, but other than that, guys, please subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the videos. Please like and hit that bell icon, and please leave any comments below of what you think about the deck. Again, as always, I hope you guys are all staying safe outside. It is still crazy. I know things are reopening, but we still need to make sure that we're all taking care of each other. So with that being said, we'll see you guys next time.